could be devastating. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. And obviously HLE, they get banned. They get functionally to choose what they don't want to play against. Whereas GENG, I assume, right? We've seen crazy things happen, but presumably it's just Skarner, Kalista, Jace coming out as bans from them.
Okay. I mean, this is going to tell us right here, this first ban.
I think Skarner, right? Skarner is the one I say you must ban.
Skarner.
I think Kalista, there's a little bit of flexibility if you have a pick prepared.
The thing is, I think the problem is these are obviously some of our strongest picks in the meta, but there are like, let's say they're S tier. There's like A tier picks that aren't amazing into them, but can, you know, subdue them. They're gone. They're long gone. Everything that was like meta and could handle them is out the way, so leaving them open just makes them even more powerful. I think we're probably just going to see them all taken away from the side of GENG.
Yeah, the only reason you would leave them up is if you get one yourself, but, you know, that first pick almost always would be Skarner, and I feel like you're losing if you're taking the Kalista side of that trade. But taking a long time to at least think about the future, because, you know, you might as well. You're still given time for these first couple of bans, even if you know exactly what you're going to ban. You might be saying, okay, well, if they pinch this, what should we play, et cetera, even though you had a lot of time before this Game 5 as well. Here's a Jax ban. So, you know what is available? Both of them available, actually. Both Wukong and Nocturne.
Yeah, I think
the
that
jungle
might end up being the trade here. I think that if you want to go for the, like, if the first pick, I think going for Wukong is safer. I think it works with a lot more drafts. You know, you could go for the Nocturne first, and then, you know, Peanut is like, all right, well, now if they pick Orianna away, they have Orianna, so that's a win for us. But then you have Nocturne, so Jace is going to be banned a third and final time. So these three picks have been perma-banned every single time. I like the Wukong pickup more. I think it works with a plethora of compositions, can protect a lot of the vulnerable AD carries that are left, and that's what they will go for here.
Yep, I think it's a good pickup in this situation, and to see what GENG will trade in return. I feel like jungle pool, AD carry pool, both sort of getting wrapped away. I think as well, picking them before the second rotation, really important to match. Otherwise, they will be denied. So Jinx looking to come through. We saw previously GENG go for Zeri Yuumi in a Game 5, thinking there's no engaged supports to counter this. It feels like that's the case here. Jinx Lulu could be devastating.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll lock the Lulu away now. If there's anything they're afraid of that could get taken, with Lulu by Hanwha Life instead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Felios Lulu.
Yeah,
you could play like Twitch Lulu.
I think they definitely could take the Lulu now to prevent those.
Yeah.
And maybe now Zeka gets his hands on Victor and can be protected by the Wukong. Can be a decent duo there because the knockups lead to the gravity well getting the stun and stuff like that. But Zeka not necessarily a Victor guy. Is
oh man,
we're just doing it.
Maybe
Game
like
5.
Draven Blitzcrank
or
something
gauntlet.
like that.
Renata is still available, right? So
I think Renata a little. I think the thing is Jinx is so long ranged, and the comp you'll want to go into them. I think Renata and a Lulu just it doesn't really sell that much to me. But they end up going for the, you know, we want to crush the 2v2 with our range. Go on the Kate. Do they follow up with a Lux? Actually, looking at the Karma instead. Again,
more guaranteed push.
Yeah, I feel like it's, you know, Delight's known for his engaged supports. It's not that he can't play the other picks. It's just HLE have looked best when he's on them. So he'll be able to speed up Peanut, but really it's going to be on Peanut to set up those engages and start those fights. And you're dealing with a Lulu with so much potential to shut it down.
If they don't lock a jungler here, that pool gets pinched so easily. Does Chovy really want to prioritize something over? Ooh, they just go for the Ornn instead. Very surprising to see this be the opt-in here, considering how unlikely it was to be banned, I feel. Just keeping a lot of options open here, but again, now you're getting pinched.
I think this must be a situation where Canyon is confident in the pick he has and doesn't think it's going to get counteracted. I think on the other side, you're probably going to see like Olaf banned away here potentially from Zeus. Makes a lot of sense. And Nivea going to be taken off first and foremost, though.
Yeah.
Not wanting to deal with that.
Honestly, I think that's a pretty good ban. We've seen Zeus obviously pull it out in the top lane, and you know, we saw King in as well. Multiple top laners now have played this in the top side, and just wanting to give Ornn a better shot. I think if you're really hunkering down for the Jinx draft, you just want to make sure you have Ornn, so they pick it here. Kindred taken away.
I think that makes sense for the Jinx. some picks that we could see, like in terms of late game scaling, obviously the Victor that was playing, there's the Olaf ban we've been asking for. The Victor scales really well, but Smolder still also a possibility. Doesn't give you great damage profile here, but it is just going to scale incredibly well. Even something like an Aurelion Sol we've seen Chovy have a lot of mastery of could be something that comes out here as that 5th and final pick, because they can lock Jungler on 4 here and leave that counter pick for Chovy to make sure he has a favorable matchup there in mid. Tough call here on the jungle ban.
Yeah.
You just don't know what Canyon's going to do next.
I think the thing is, you're likely going to take that jungler on 4 here for Canyon, and then Chovy, you can really situationally adjust, because right now they have a lot of scaling already. And if HLE matches the scaling and you're confident that you can hold them off early game, sure, you can invest in more. But if they go for a composition with more early pressure, you might need something to match that earlier on.
I was thinking about a Trundle pick earlier. Just, we can be quite strong into Wukong, fight those resistances away. And also works really well with Ornn. You set up the pillar.
It also means if you wanted to go like tank for tank in the top lane, it's just not going to feel good playing into a Trundle in this situation. It makes the front to back for GENG absurd.
Yeah, it's
right?
crazy. And we still don't know what that 5th pick for Chovy is going to be. Could index into more mid-game pressure, like you said.
Ooh.
This is a fantastic pick into what GENG have shown, though. And he's going to lock it away. Our first of the tournament, I think it was banned once. And it's just so good into Ornn, has historically been.
More magic damage, though, on top of Gwen, even Karma. Would be interesting.
He could go for something like a Tristana and try to add some side lane pressure in here and break those tanks. But Victor Leandri's is going to be high value if they do go for this. It's a lot of magic damage, though, as you say.
I think also works as a denial on top of that away from Chovy.
There's that Aurelion Sol I mentioned.
Yeah.
I feel like Chovy's so confident on this pick. He's won lane with it. He's dominated super early, even in the early laning phases. Smolder's still also an option here. I think the Aurelion Sol's the best one, man.
Yeah.
Like,
there it is.
Everybody is so low range outside of the Caitlyn. Yes, Victor has some decent poke and some decent range here, but he's also going to be very vulnerable, isn't very mobile, can be run down. As Aurelion Sol, you can just avoid his gravity well. You can harass him early in lane and start to build up those stacks. I love this pick for Chovy in this draft.
And the thing is as well, like to shut down Aurelion Sol, you get on top of him, you CC him, but like the whole game plan of HLE and team fights is just run at them, which is a perfect scenario for him to drop down the singularity and just kind of be like, you can't run through that.
Also, I feel like this gives them supreme late game win condition,
Absolutely.
right? Because if you look at what you have Ornn and Jinx already. They were already playing for that. Now you just add Aurelion Sol on top of that. Even though you've got Caitlyn, Gwen, and Victor on the other side, I feel like still the Aurelion Sol and Jinx should be enough with those Ornn buffs to win in the late game.
It's such a sticky comp, and it's got so much power around that Aurelion Sol ult because it basically becomes a global when it's empowered, and that slows everybody. That is just going to be stopping everyone from getting on top of these carries, and it has good engage with the pillar. Plus, you have resets. Like you have Jinx reset, and you have Aurelion Sol reset. People forget. They just think of Aurelion Sol as just a big damage dealer later on, but he gets his flight resets, and he's flying through and chasing people down. You are just never going to get away. You have to survive the early game. You have to make sure this Gwen isn't a side lane threat later on, because that could be a huge problem. Very difficult to deal with here for GENG. But if they get to the late game easily, it is a pretty tough win here for Hanwha Life.
I think the early game is going to be so important. It's a Gwen against an Ornn. You can sacrifice the Ornn pretty heavily if it shuts down the Gwen. And if Zeus isn't enabled, I think GENG will just take this one.
Well, a very interesting way to cap off the finals here at the LCK Cup. Let's hop onto the Rift and finish it off right now. Here we go, game 5. It all comes down to this. Who will be representing LCK at the first stand here at Lol Park? Who will be taking down the first ever LCK Cup?
And who won't be? You know, we'll lose 5 of these players at an international, you know? Like, I'd be happy with either team with the performances we're seeing from these guys in playoffs. And the fact that we have to grant only one of them the championship here for LCK Cup and send them. Feels sad at the same time. Remember, both these teams went to Game 5. Last time they matched up with only Ox predicting Hanwha's win in the summer playoffs. And they got it done. Maybe GENG can settle the score here in this fifth and final one.
The last 3 times they've matched up has gone to Game 5 as well. The earlier one they had in this tournament. It feels like they're going all out every time. And especially with the addition of Fearless, it's really pushing these players to their limit. You know, we saw Chovy Viego, now Chovy, Aurelion Sol coming through. Zeus, who has been honestly such a boon to HLE in Fearless, but bringing out the Gwen, the Trundle, just picks. You know, we've seen these players play these picks. It's been a while, though.
Certainly has. PTA Trundle makes him a bit of a duelist, bit of a big threat when he gets on top of you, starts spreading those resistances, bites you, chomps you, I guess is what it's technically called.
I mean, the AD steal as well on the Wukong makes it so hard to play into early.
Chovy trying to get as many stacks as he can here early. You can get stacks, obviously, from executing the minions in the E, but also from channeling Q, you break the enemies into Stardust. So as long as you can keep channeling that Q onto the enemy champion in your lane matchup, you can start to build an advantage there. Getting Zeus ahead, I think, is so critical for Hanwha Life. You make him into a side lane threat, so hard to match. And then you can just control the map, control the macro with the side laning Gwen.
But see the difference, like we have Ruler alone here, whereas Viper and Zeus are splitting it because, you know, you have these 2 carries, you want to make sure they have an even spread, whereas Keen is like, I'm an Ornn. I'm really not that bothered. I'll just walk around, leech a bit of XP here and there, you know, toot my horn in team fights. That's all he has to do.
Well, he does need to get levels and give items over, but that will come in time. I really don't foresee this game ending anytime soon. I would imagine that this has got to go at least 30, 35 minutes. And in that case, you know, eventually Ornn will get his side lane, he'll get his levels. Might come slightly later. We'll see about the timings on the items and stuff like that. But yeah, for now, just hanging out, not stealing any farm, and Ruler's by himself in the top lane.
Isn't it wild that at the very beginning of this year, the very beginning of this season, the big overblown thing everyone was talking about was feats of strength. It's so important. It's going to break the game. It's going to be so snowbally. If we were watching this game back then, we'd be talking a lot about Caitlyn getting that first turret. But right now, looking for maybe more than a turret as Keen is getting zoned away. But even still here, you're feeling okay about how this is going because of the split gold you mentioned, Ox. Ruler is also getting a ton of money. You can look at the gold difference between these 2 AD carries, still relatively even.
Oh, Keen, he's going for it. He's trying to get in there. Oh, he just wants
on it.
A little smidgen of XP, and he will get in.
Duro, I don't know.
The only issue is that, yeah, he hits level 2, but he's still dead. So first blood is given over, and now maybe
Wait, they
Duro.
might just be able to take... It's so low. I think they'll back away with Canyon being there, but that tower is dangerously low. And one of the things, you know, when they were making changes to discourage lane swaps, we obviously get shorter lane swaps now than we did before. It's because they made the plates and bot lanes so much squishier. I mean, the plates in general, but obviously they don't have the fortification. If you let them just have a 3-man, 4-man push, they can take the tower down so fast. And, you know, they're splitting gold. And obviously that means Ruler has got a bit of a lead. But if you lose that first tower early, it's going to feel so bad for GENG.
Yeah. Good defense there, though, will be at the cost of Keen's life. Still sitting on 1 single CS, but now he's going to go to the top side here. And, yeah, BF Sword picked up for the Jinx. You can see Jinx actually has that gold lead right now, with the split gold going over to Hanwha Life, and he's just been sitting up there solo. And that gold lead has gotten, like, bigger and bigger as this game has gone on.
You know, it's been a long time since there's been that. Remember when it was the 1550 cost BF sword and it was so big to either have that or not when you back? But, you know, this is a situation where you'd much rather be able to back with enough gold for a BF sword. Viper with the Berserker Greaves not going to feel as strong right now, although obviously not laning against each other. They're looking to really put the pressure down on Keen once again.
I mean,
he has 1 CS.
I mean, they're committing TPs to trade turret here.
Yeah, it's not like Zeus was going to do anything in bot, so he's like, oh, I'm just going to go top, and we'll just get more plates. Meanwhile, GENG get their turn to get some money down here.
This feels like OG lane swaps we had back in the day, where it would just be exchanges of turrets on the other side of the map, and, you know, you wouldn't get as many interactions as we see with the top laners trying to defend and then getting dove. Jinx obviously very fast at taking these towers here, but Gwen helping the Caitlyn to keep pace.
We'll see what happens when the Gwen actually starts getting involved in PvP. As I was going to whiff on Zeka, but does clear the wave.
It wasn't quite cataclysmic, that one.
No,
you know.
But like Zeus is 650 gold ahead of an Ornn, but doesn't have a ton of money necessarily. Still has a decent amount of money from all these plates, but isn't going to just automatically going to be because she's 650 gold over the Ornn, able to start really side laning super hard and pulling GENG around the map, but does end up getting a decent amount of money. And now the gold lead evened out until this turret goes down between the 80 carries. Ruler should be able to pull ahead just a little bit here now after this one does go down, but pretty even early game. Both of these compositions scale very well. It's just the more infinite scaling opportunities that GENG have with this Aurelion Soul is kind of an issue. But you can see Hanwha Life, so far, pretty significant gold lead here in this early game.
You know, one of the things that the game does end up going late, I feel like feature strengths, especially after they got nerfed, not as impactful, but and also the boot upgrades, a lot of champions don't want to get them so early because they're not that gold efficient.
Yeah.
But if it goes to like full build, then it really actually starts to make an impact again, funnily enough. So
that's a really good point.
Can end up being a factor.
Now we're just slow pushing waves and or freezing them. You could see down on the bottom side they had a slight freeze down there, but eventually Piper just pushes it out.
Look at the total gold for Zeus. Even though he's 600 up, he's still towards the bottom of this graph right now.
Yeah, top laners in 2025.
I just want to mention that because it looks kind of misleading when you look at the 600 there. It looks like, oh man, actually Zeus is kind of fed.
It's a Gwen
not
with
really.
14 CS and, you know.
One thing to say, though, is that it's another awkward back for Viper, who doesn't get to pick up the... Actually, I think if he goes Shiv, then he wouldn't want to BF Sword necessarily, but... You know, BF Sword from Ruler really strong there going into him.
This is literally just ults in mid being used to push waves and just push the enemy out from farming. It's like, who can farm better and more efficiently without having to back as often? It's not even like they're going for kills at all, really. So just farming it out. We do see Hanwha Life Esports, they have Peanut level 6. He's had ample time to hit level 6, just farm out his own jungle. He's done that, and Canyon essentially has done that as well. Just a little bit slower on the Trundle.
This would be a second turret for Hanwha Life if they were able to knock it down. Not quite able to get that final plate and take it out, but getting dangerously close. They obviously got first brick, so the feats of strength you were talking about, Ox, they're definitely significantly ahead in that one because they also have the first kill of the game as well.
You know, I actually think that the more I think about it, the more I think Ruler's going to be able to actually handle Viper in the trades with that extra AD he has. And they're both going Yuntal Wild Arrows first item.
Oh,
so
Keen is starting to get, you know, it's not a fed Gwen, but still has the advantage in the matchup. And Keen is now starting to get zoned out of experience here now that they face off against each other again.
Yeah.
He's having a rough time.
He needs Cannon here, otherwise he'll never, like, this freeze is never breaking. But the thing is, you know, Cannon hasn't spent a lot of time doing very efficient or effective things in this game outside of just farming and getting the one Drake. So, you know, he gets the Cannon XP. That's all that Keen's going to get. And Cannon's like, cool story, bro, you're Ornn. I'm just farming my jungle. So it's not really, you know, maybe when this next wave comes in, maybe Cannon goes up there. But it's not a priority, let's say, for the side of GENG.
Yes, the ganking karma.
It's such a heavy investment on Ruler for them to have made the game go the way it has, and it's really making Keen suffer, especially now Zeus' ult, that kill pressure really is there. And we're now in a scenario where it's like, it's all in, but if Ruler missteps, like it's a 2-carry composition, Aurelion Sol no doubt can do a lot, but if Ruler missteps with all that agency put on him, all that emphasis put on him, things can really end up backfiring. And Keen, I feel like so much of this game has just been him wandering about. You know, he's the same level as the supports right now. Which
He's
I know
a victim of lane swaps and a victim of a bad matchup when it's not swapped. He doesn't want to be in either lane.
He actually has less XP than both the supports. You know, it's not too strange to have the top laners behind, but this is... Oh.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Jinx Trundle offers you. He is essentially just going to be a pillar bot and an ult bot. There aren't any real tanks outside of the, I guess, the Wukong. You can take away some of his resistances, but essentially Cannon's job is to create space with this pillar for the carries. That's what he's doing in this game.
And we see the TP come bot. Zeus wants to continue the pressure onto Keen. It does mean they're sacrificing these grubs. Peanut might consider trying to steal one, but I think it's too risky.
He thought about it, but at the end of the day, just gonna give this
so
up.
low? He can't. Not only can he not walk up to it, but you see Zeus waiting as much time as possible to deny that Cannon's going to die.
Can't get anything.
Oh,
this is so sad.
He's a conductor without a train. Well, Chovy is farming well, as was indicated earlier, and he is stacking quite nicely. He's up to 82 now.
Keen was given the scraps. He got a control ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than not a control ward. 44 CS the difference.
This is one of those moments where Chronicler backstage is like, he should buy a support item, and then he's gonna be like, I'm not kidding, he should buy a support item. I can hear a Chronicler saying it backstage. He's got like his hands on his head, he's like, I'm serious. We've seen these games so rarely, but it does happen.
At least Keen has got it pulled to his turret. We have Ocean Soul. Very exciting. It's not. You know, it's not going to matter all too much. There is some
I will say honestly,
value.
The Ocean Soul gets more value the bulkier teams are, and especially there are some bulkier champions in this game.
There's a couple, yes.
Yeah, but even like a Gwen with an Ocean Soul, like we've seen Ambessa before, so there's, you know, it's not that there's no value. Obviously, there's a lot stronger souls that could come up, but I think it would still be a big factor.
I think it really it fits the theme of this slow scaling, low kill, true LCK Cup, LCK game. You know,
it's, it feels like it's one of those souls where you're not going to secure it and go, okay, we've won. But you know, we'll see teams probably trade the dragons. Yeah, for sure. It helps, you know, but it's not a hex tech.
Yeah. You know, with all the excitement of Fearless and all the crazy picks and different comps we've seen, this is definitely a way to help us cool off. You know, take a little step back.
No, I think it was just they weren't ready for the LCK Cup to be over, and they were like, you know what? Let's pick some scaling. Let's take it at 60 minutes. We're enjoying the cast. They're listening in.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Chovy went Blackfire Torch as his first item, so a little bit of power in these next few exchanges potentially. Sometimes you go Leandri's first into Rylai's. I imagine he still has to build the Rylai's second here just because you need that slow. It's going to be so important in these team fights. He is matched, of course, by Zeka, who went for his own Blackfire Torch. So it's just showcasing what this game is going to be like, is two mid laners trying to burn through some health bars and do some scaling late game damage. We're just chilling for now, not trying to hurt anybody just yet. But if they did decide to, you know, could fight a little bit.
Oh man, Keen's so low. And Zeus still has ult. I was like, wait, I looked at his health and I immediately looked towards Zeus' ult. Like, did he ult him when we weren't looking? No, he's having a time.
Well, I was looking at Ghost. I was like, can he ult him and kill him?
Yeah.
Maybe he can.
Potentially.
Now Riftmaker's done.
Yeah, at least Keen has been able to keep it very close to the turret for last 3 or 4 waves, so that's really going to offer him a lot of safety. Even though he is low, there isn't that kill pressure that you guys are talking about, so just gets to sit back. And, you know, for GENG, this is what they want to do. Obviously, they didn't want their Ornn to get this far behind, but I think they could have foreseen this happening and say, okay, we'll take that. It's fine. You know, they picked Ornn first as well, but after they saw the Gwen, they're like, okay, we're going to have to sacrifice you a little bit here, Keen. We're not playing for you to have farm. We're just playing for our carries to get fed and play in the late game.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like they have an edge for Ruler.
Keen has less than both supports.
Yeah.
We're playing a farming game. Keen isn't winning.
The thing is, they have an edge for Ruler in terms of golden XP, but it's not that crazy. You can definitely make the argument, but by him having an edge and having like the BF first, that stopped Viper and Delight being able to put as much pressure on them. But it's come at such a huge cost. I really cannot think it's worth it for how big this top lane lead was. And again, like I talked about coming in the draft, coming out the draft, that you know, Zeus being ahead was so big for this comp being online, and it'd be worth sacrificing Keen to shut him down. I'm not sure I agree with it being worth to sacrifice Keen for Ruler when it means Zeus is just so much further ahead, and now he's just running amok in this side lane. You're never going to be able to answer this matchup because Gwen will continue to scale and eventually still just shred through Keen.
And, you know, Zeus also fights pretty well into the Trundle, and with the deficit that Keen has, Canyon can't really gank or bail him out. Like, earlier we were like, yeah, it's a, you know, 600 gold lead doesn't mean that much. Now this 2,000 gold lead starts to mean a lot. Riftmaker's online, and he can really push these advantages. May even start to be able to put some pressure on that inner turret if he's just left alone. Yeah, the CS per minute here. Keen is also not winning this contest, but Zeus very far behind as well with the lane swap.
Oh, could get a fight coming in here. We do have the charged ult from Chovy and GENG moving in.
Yeah. It's not going to be incredibly strong at this point, but at least he's level 11, and he's well farmed, right? So they have to respect it, and I think Hollow Life Esports might just do that. If they're not going to respect it, they got to TP the Gwen, and there it is. That is a very nice angle, as the smite isn't there for GENG, and they immediately just have to evacuate. They TP the Ornn in.
I think that was a mistake. I think it was pretty clear that they were out.
Yeah.
And I think they could have just, he could have got a couple of CS, he could have doubled his farm.
We'll try to make something out of it here.
That's rough, man.
The ult looks cool.
I mean, if you like
look on the bright
ults
side, guys,
that fly through turrets, sure. I look at this situation and I'm like, I see why GENG want to fight, because their comp actually can, if they get a single pick in an overextension for Hollow Life, get those resets and pop off. They have the empowered Aurelion Sol ult, but they weren't in position. They committed to backing away, and so yeah, like you said, Ox, like Keen should have just stayed and got some more farm.
Yeah.
Or they should have committed more heavily. It was really scary because Zeus was also on the flank with his teleport. His teleport was more relevant, and if GENG had last minute decided to hard force there, it could have been even worse.
The thing is as well with the Ornn ult, if you're using it at a long range against a Karma, a Wukong, it's so hard to actually hit. The movement speed for the Karma makes such a big difference, especially with Shirelias as well. You use your Mantra shield plus Shirelias, no one is getting hit by that Ornn ult.
Yeah, it's just never going to happen. You see that we once again return to the farming simulator down on the bottom side, and
I just feel so bad for Keen. He had a brief window, he sees Gwen leave, he's like, finally, and then his team are like, yo, we need you too. He's like, he sees the minion dying as he's channeling.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about Ornn in these fights, is he's not going to offer any damage, really, obviously, but he can offer a lot of utility for that empowered Chovy ult if he's there on time, if they're actually committing, if the setup is there, if Cannon can get a pillar in, maybe they can make something happen, but I feel like they're playing so nervously right now. It's
very much a knife's edge. If you TP too early, there is a chance that they just take the Rift Herald and run, and then Gwen is left alone on the bottom side with TP advantage. Duro, he should be okay, but yeah. But yeah, you could potentially leave the Gwen alone in the side lane with the TP advantage against an Ornn that doesn't have TP and is really struggling already. As now maybe trying to make something happen. Chovy coming on down. He's the one guy who can actually gank Zeus, but Gwen's got mobility herself with the Ghost.
Yeah, especially back when Gwen was meta, one of the things that took her away was they made her E cooldown really long early, and then when you max it at level 13, it's a lot lower. And he's level 11 now, he's getting close to that point. He's going to be like old Gwen, where he's just easily dashing out of these situations.
Maybe a little catch here. Delight getting pretty low. A chance for a ult. Rocket hits him.
Obi could have committed his ult there, I think, to actually get the kill, but thinks it's more valuable for a team fight later on.
I think maybe just wasn't sure, like, it's like, yes, it makes sense if Rilla hits the ult as well, but yeah, I mean, Delight would have just died. I guess he maybe would have flashed if the ult came down, but would have been a good summon to burn. I think that's one of the things with the Aurelion Sol is that when you have the empowered ult, it's so much more of a decision to burn it. Like we saw Zeka and Viper both burn their ults on on Duro. It's kind of whatever. But when you have the empowered ult, it's like so much more of a serious decision as to, do we really want to commit this for this play?
It just shuts down like both Gwen and Wukong so incredibly well. The Rileys is a huge spike for Aurelion Sol because he can chase you down with impunity in all these situations where someone's overextended, Chovy starts burning them, slows them, the rest of the team falls up, suddenly you've got a Trundle on top of you and you're just dead. So they have to play really respectfully. Chovy is fishing for angles here, but Hollow Life, a lot of map control, a lot of respect shown to this Aurelion Sol too. So while they technically get caught by him and slowed, they're not so far forward that they can end up getting killed.
I just thought it was so funny, the little noise it made when he hit the plant there, and it's like, Keen's like, yes, I've got some XP. So happy. He's out here. He's doing
We are
his best.
stacking.
Yeah. We could have had double stacking. You know, we were talking a little bit about Smolder in the draft as well. Didn't end up coming through. Actually, Smolder was mostly ignored this entire series. He got banned in second phase once in Game 3.
You know what? I'm okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
I don't miss him.
We could have had double stacking dragons, though. That could have been fun. And GENG, I believe, have done that in the past.
Just to notify you guys, it's voracious Atacon this game. In case you're wondering. In case you're unsure.
Thanks, Ox.
Thanks for the heads up on that one.
Yeah, just have to verify for you.
Yeah. I think people are kind of maybe sleeping on the power of what happens when GENG gets one kill. in this draft. And I think that's why, even though Hanwha Life had a lot of map control, they have this Gwen that's giving them a ton of side control. They're not heavily committing to try to get more because there's so much mobility here for GENG. Chovy wrap around, he teleports behind you, he gets a kill, he flies forward. No one escapes. There's no getting out. Ruler gets sped up, he does a ton of damage, and he is just sitting and farming this game too. I mean, he's only 350 gold up. These things are pretty inconsequential when we just keep farming, we're not fighting, but one wrong team fight for Hanwha Life and some of those side advantages just start to disappear, and then Chovy gets too big. So, and because it's Ocean Soul, I think we're going to see a little bit more of this. As Peanut is Wukong.
Might be forced to dash over the wall. He was.
Yep.
Got him!
Yeah. They did it. I mean, fighting for pressure around the Otacon is very interesting. Yes, both of these teams want to scale, but if somebody could sneak away an Otacon with, you know, as little action as possible, or if, you know, as you were talking about, forcing one of those big team fights where you've got all of your potential shutdown abilities, you know, the Empowered Ultimate's still available for Chovy.
You know, honestly,
that would be huge. That would be a huge swing, even though we are talking a lot about the late game in this one.
Oh, this is big.
That's a turret.
Power. Yeah, getting mid tier 1 against the Brilliant Soul, definitely nice.
And Chovy's also could have ulted that, but is similar to what we were talking about before. He's like, this ult is just too empowered and too powerful to waste for something like this.
It genuinely could be a situation where if Chovy ults the mid wave, HLE see that as a signal to like start up Otacon or the, I mean, definitely the Dragon. TP coming in from... Keen never gets to farm. Sorry, bro.
We have a level 11 Ornn who is looking to party. We got another TP, but it's very late as Chovy only gets here now. The Drake's already gone.
Man, some slow macro moves here from GENG. They could try to turn this into Otacon, though. They have a ton of burn with this.
A ton of damage.
Yeah, with this Aurelion Soul, you just hold Q.
They can kind of zone them out as well. Ornn, Aurelion Soul, a lot of space control, and Hanwha Life Esports is just going to say, okay, take it. They don't care.
He's pushing hard, and I mean, that turret is basically just going to disappear.
I mean,
it's gone.
They are giving away Otacon for free, so that's going to be GENG taking down Otacon, but mid-inner is the trade here for Hanwha Life Esports.
Thing is, you know, they need Ornn to be there to set up the engage, but he's also the one who has to answer the Gwen. Like, Otacon buff, in and of itself, it only lasts for 2.5 minutes. What can you translate it to? Because just getting the buff alone isn't worth it. You need to get something else. Baron is going to be up while it's still available, but it's risky to end up in the pit against HLE.
I think they want to try to force a pick here, but it's so tough. And I kind of agree with you, Ox. I feel like the inner turret might even be more valuable.
Viper, really awkward spot here. He's getting burnt to a crisp, and that would be worth with the Empowered ult is going to hit him. They get the flash. That's out of the Caitlyn.
That's kind of for me, like, that was when we decided to use it.
So
I think
now Viper doesn't have flash for if they force Baron. But really the question
Chovy doesn't have Empowered ult for Baron either.
Yeah,
does GENG want to force it? Yeah.
The thing is as well, if you do Baron, the risk of it is that it can just be stolen regardless of whether you have the Otacon buff. And also, you end up in the pit, which is super dangerous. Like, if you lose a fight and you have... If you lose fight and you lose Baron, but you don't truly die because of Otacon, you're not feeling good. Yeah. You're not like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It definitely does matter, so...
And to be... I really agree. Like, Ox didn't explicitly say this, but it kind of implied there may be some potential of Hanwha Life just getting that inner turret being more valuable than the Otacon itself. With these compositions, how they scale, and how difficult it is for GENG to set up, like, a dive, they can get picks in team fights and 5v5s. It's just not that valuable for this composition. It's not like they're running a Vi Ahri comp where they could just hard push now, and they don't have a super strong side lane champion. They're the team that has the Ornn, so Hanwha Life making the right call, I think, to let that go, push instead for mid, as this Otacon buff has gotten very little here. Now, if you lose this Baron fight to Hanwha Life, with those buffs gone, by the way, and Gwen has Baron buff, that's basically game.
That is game, yeah.
So you have to be so cautious. Now that Chovy doesn't have his Empowered ult, things are looking a little bit less safe than they were before. I'm not saying it's unwinnable, but that was the call he made to try to kill the Caitlyn. Got the flash, but how much can they actually punish that?
The thing is, it's ticking away. It's gone up to 22, 21. If you don't immediately start the Baron on spawn, it's never happening.
Yeah.
As you said, thin window. That window is gone. And ultimately, the only lasting effect of the Otacon buff is you get a tiny bit more gold on each kill, which is just a non-factor.
But I mean, now Hanwha Life have prio over Baron. And, you know, this starts to get a little bit scary because once you have a little bit of vision, you have prio, and the Gwen starts side laning, Zeus is going to pull GENG to deal with that. And it's going to at least be Chovy who deals with it. It doesn't have teleport now, but will shortly, thankfully for him, because Ornn isn't dealing with it anymore.
This game is about to explode.
Oh, it really is.
Feel it, because, you know, we've been sitting here for 25 minutes with one kill. One kill! And eventually they have to press their buttons at each other, right? somebody has to go in and do something. It just feels like, as we've talked about, they want to scale, but here we go. That's a button pressed, as they're not really going to hit anything. But they pressed their buttons, guys. That's something. And now GENG have to run away from the massive Gwen that is doing a lot of damage, but they just flash out of there.
That may just be Baron. I mean, everybody's super low here. GENG have to back away.
They got Ornn flash, they got Chovy flash, and now, oh, the knockup with the pillar. You see the coordination with the Trundle and the Ornn. And it's just some low health bars. I don't think HLE Esports can start up the Baron, but at least we got to fight.
I mean, I think if that pillar doesn't come through, maybe they can.
Yeah, I feel like the initial play was to get Zeus' TP. And then HLE were like, well, we burnt TP, we want to get something from it. And I think getting the flash from Chovy was big. Like, you have to have your own here to start the fight. They get a TP, they're like, okay, back away. We got what we wanted. But HLE are like, look, we committed TP, we want something more. I think them getting the flash out of Chovy really makes this okay for them, right? You're not going to have as much pressure on the side from Gwen, but this is fine. But then they just step a bit too far, and Zeka goes way too far forwards.
Yeah. I mean, the whole game plan, I think, for this play, you see Chovy flying in from the bottom side there, is they know that there's no flash still on this Caitlyn, and they also Ornned the Caitlyn as well, so they're trying to pick him, but there's just such a robust front line there, especially with the teleport coming through from Zeus, that picking him isn't going to be realistic. And now with Chovy with no flash, does feel very scary. He's sitting on 300 stacks, though he is really starting to hurt, and his slows in the team fights can really help give the Jinx the space to get that first reset against this Wukong Gwen composition.
Yeah. We talked a bit about Ocean Soul. You can see that GENG are not giving this for free.
Zeka's TPing over just to join them in the fight. Zeus is on this flank angle, which is so threatening, and this would be Soul for HLE if they can secure it.
This is such a tense moment here. This game, like you said, Valdez, about to be blown open. Both teams so scared of what it means.
Yeah. You see the traps are setting down. It's really corralling GENG into an awkward spot. Chovy on the flank here himself, just threatening Peanut, but so is Zeus on the top side, as we talked about. Ruler's really got his mark on him up there. Here comes the Ornhorn. Peanut in the pit is going to be forced out. As they try to burst it down, they just want to take that one as a big knockup comes in into the Chovy. Oh, they get Peanut, and Peanut's taken down, but what is the cost? Chovy is going down super low as it is stolen away. No Ocean Soul comes in. GENG now on the run, just trying to disengage, and they will be able to. Chovy, though, not sure about him.
He should be able to get out in this. I think he has time.
Oh man, Chovy played that on the edge, living with what looked like sub 100 health there.
Yeah.
Able to then TP away to safety. They secure the dragon. They deny it from Hanwha Life, the soul there. And we go back to farming.
Hey, we had a couple of kills.
I mean, this game could not be more tense though. And Viper still a vulnerable AD carry here, but the Ornhorn is really just designed to keep Peanut at bay here. Then they knock him up. The ultimate is committed here from Chovy to kill the jungler. Zeus ripping through the backline. Barely does Chovy escape. Doesn't feel a lot better for Hanwha if they end up picking him off here. Killing Keen, not the biggest deal in this game, not worth too much money. They just have to run away. And the scaling just continues here for Chovy. Now he has Leandris. Now he has level 16. They continue to buy time in this game. And I think both these teams scale incredibly well, especially the Gwen in the side lane, but Chovy's the one with the infinite scale.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, in that passage of play, in that fight, Peanut was so focused on the dragon, I feel, kind of just lost track of the fight. And if you don't have this Wukong getting on top of Chovy without a flash, it doesn't matter that he's lacking that summoner spell as much. Oh, Zeka. No flash.
Okay, gonna be denied there. Chovy's eating turret damage as well. They immediately call off the play. And GENG, they got the turret, but
that might be a Baron call.
Look at the bottom lane here. Yep. We do have Zeus just pushing with TP.
I think you can just play for time here if Zeus is getting this pressure on the side.
Someone has to answer, though, and it is going to be Keen for now. He doesn't have teleport, but Zeus could just come over here, and this Baron will disappear. Chovy doesn't have TP, he can't back.
But he does have the Mega Ult, which is so dangerous to play against in this situation.
They're trying to mark him here. You see Zeka gets the vision. Will they commit to this? It's really up to Canyon, and he's going to have to flash over. As here we go, ult is called down in the burst, it goes to Peanut, he lands that smite, as now HLE Esports is trying to disengage, they're just trying to get away, all the flashes burned to light, and Peanut is trying to get out of here, but Chovy is going to pick off one.
He's reset, he's not going to chase too far though, it's just too risky.
And I think ultimately HLE super happy with the outcome.
Absolutely.
Trust Peanut with a smite, and even though they lose a member, Zeus still has the Baron, and he is the one you absolutely want to on. He is going to be so hard to deal with from this point onwards.
And you're going to kind of just have to group and chase Zeus around the map. But that opens up an angle for Zekko's alone in the top lane. You can kind of 4-1 here as Hanwha Life, and Chovy has to be the guy to clear the waves. As we go watch this again, Canyon has to jump into this pit. There's a control ward in the pit here that gives him enough vision. They try to burst it down in tandem with Chovy's Q and his ultimate, but unfortunately not enough. And because Chovy uses his ultimate that way, they can't actually really chase down and win the ensuing fight, even though he gets the first kill here on the Delight and gets a reset. Chasing that deep when his team can't follow is just a bridge too far.
Yeah, but now we have a situation where the next Dragon and the Baron timer are completely synced. So if HLE keep up the pressure with this Baron, you know, they'll easily choke GENG out the map and we just trade it, immediately go into Soul after that. Already starting to put the pressure down here. Gwen's hovering around though, not being split from them, which means an engage isn't even that viable of a strategy since Gwen is there.
Yeah, you can see that there was one auto from Viper onto Chovy. He is already jumped out. Both these 80 carries just beginning to hit some big items, you know, 3.5 for both of them at this point in time. So, you know, it's really going to come down to a carries game towards the end of this one. I mean, we're already 32 minutes in. There's only 4 kills.
It's something to be said that obviously, like, Jinx Lulu's super strong in the late game, but Caitlyn is at the point where she's really starting to hit. And her range with the rapid fire cannon and the speed from Karma, if you get a headshot onto one of the carries, it's a 2-carry composition from GENG. If you just take one of those carries out of the fight, the 2-loader team fight, you just win.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you consider the Gwen can absorb a lot of the pressure and get on top of those critical carries with the Ghost. It's not Olaf, but it feels like Olaf with scissors in this one in terms of what you can do. I mean, yes, Chovy can fly away, but he's not offering the damage you'd like. He can survive against the Gwen solo, but then Viper gets on top of you and blows you up. So it's a very snowball-y type of situation for both of these teams, but I feel like more so for GENG because they have those resets, but Hanwha Life are just not giving them any angles. They're constantly controlling the tempo of the map with this Gwen pick, and Zeus here on a flank now.
I mean, somebody's got to face check. Somebody's got to get in. Zekka's doing that damage. Chovy's going to get stunned up by the Victor.
Chovy's dead!
And he's down! And now it's all up to Ruler, but immediately the Ornn goes down.
Can't kill anybody.
I mean, Ruler's chasing desperately onto the Gwen, but there's just too many people that they got to deal with. He's able to kite it out as Zekka's mom is cheering. She is extremely happy with the current situation, obviously.
I mean, they're pushing mid.
Yeah, if they stop them from recalling, they could even look for an end. It looks like they found an angle to get Ruler back.
They've got to buy time for Chovy somehow. He's the one who's got the best wave clear here. And this is a Gwen, a Fed Gwen. I don't know if they can defend this.
There is a lot of wave clear this pillar. I think they take the inhib and they just go to Dragon. I think that's a call. Chovy and Keen have TP though. If HLE are going to do this, they either need to reset or they need to be fast.
Yeah, Zekka and Zeus can TP towards that base if GENG try to drop this wave and contest the Dragon. I think there's just no way they can contest the Dragon. They're going to simply have to give this up. There's no ward on the base or anything like that for Hanwha Life to just try to go back and backdoor end. But watching this fight again, critically, Chovy is so important here, but he channels his Q and gets caught by Peanut. You're stunned by the gravity well as well. It's just, I mean, he's just trying to maximize his damage, but put himself in such a vulnerable position. And now he can't kill anyone.
The confidence of Zekka to walk up there. This is the guy with the Game 5 win streak, and he's on Victor and a mobile champion. He walks up to the Trundle, to the Aurelion Sol, the scaling champion, and manages to find that angle that leads him to success. Viper as well, flashing on a Ruler. Both these carries playing so confident despite the stakes at hand.
Yeah, and it's the combo we talked about with Gravity Well and the Wukong ult, the Cyclone work really well in tandem. And Chovy does have his empowered Blackfire Torch now, is working towards a death cap. The scaling is at work, but you're never going to have that prio, not for a really long time here, 345. They'll have it back when Elder spawns, assuming they don't lose the game before then. But during this time when someone has to deal with these mid waves, they still have a pushing Gwen in the bottom lane that's constantly threatening that inhibitor. You're just never going to get map control back for so long in this game. Still, though, every second that Chovy spends stacking, he's 400 stacks now in this game, 420-ish. He is really big. I mean, we don't normally see Aurelion Sol get this big because games are often decided before, but with the game state and with the comps we have here, he's just been able to freely farm. I mean, might hit 500 plus this game if, and that's what he's hoping for if things continue like that.
I feel like a lot of games against these super scalers, they either end early because you snowball against them, or in your attempts to snowball, you mess up and the game is over early because you lost against the scaling pick. But with both of these teams having these scaling elements and it going this late with not as much action happening, it's really starting to bring into the equation these massive spikes that the Aurelion Sol can hit, the power behind his ultimate now, the Rabadon being available for him.
18 as well.
He's so powerful.
Even Rabadon's, you see that Zeko and Void Staff because he's got 2 tanks to deal with, whereas Chovy, well, he's not really dealing with a lot of people that have much MR, so just going the full boom boom damage builds, not messing around with that death cap, and he's got the empowered ult as well. I mean, yes, Life Esports, they took the soul, they are ahead, they're in a good spot, but this game is not over by any means.
Yeah, the Ocean Soul definitely nice, the sustain definitely useful, but it's not a game ender. And
I mean, with this Aurelion Sol, it's one of the only champions in the game where you can go, okay, we'll just give Baron because I think we can deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, he just holds the wave.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Nah. They saw it coming a mile away.
Peanuts is not a chance.
Not today.
And I think that rather than trying to hard force your way into an unsalvageable team fight there and trying to force your way into a Baron steal and losing Trundle Flash and just ending the game with flipping, you just rely on that wave clear. The fact that Chovy has so much AP here, is level 18, as you mentioned, Valdez. He's just looking for stacks and stacks and stacks, and they're like, sitting there going, they're giving us a lot of stacks. Like, they're sending a lot of minions for Chovy to clear, and he's getting stronger by the moment. Now, if they can set up a dive, if they can get in the backline, if Peanut finds a flash cyclone angle, they could just end.
It's risky, though. One mistake, one reset for Jinx, and this game is easily Gen G's. So, yes, advantage for HLE right now, and it looks like the Gwen is going to capitalize on that and take the inhib. Now things start to get scary.
Yeah, it's got to be triple inhibs, and then the minions do the work.
Well, at least their Nexus turrets can respawn. Don't know if we'll get to
Not
that
if the Nexus
spot.
dies, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they've set up Chovy to hold down on one inhibitor. They're gonna make their final stand here on the one inhibitor, and that's it.
I almost start to feel like GENG are going to have to make a risky, proactive play here, or they're just going to get grinded out of the game.
Yeah, they couldn't even do that.
And I just don't think their composition really allows for it at this stage.
It's so hard because all sums are for HLE. If you throw in the Ornald and someone flashes it, you have nothing.
Yeah, I mean, all you have is a pillar otherwise.
All right, well, Chovy's gonna press some buttons here on the Delight. That's a big chunk, but it's not enough. You gotta get some kills here. Zeka is doing insane damage himself. They're cornered with their backs against the wall. GENG desperate to clear the waves, but they're losing health before they can even do that. The pressure might just be too much, as look at the Nexus turrets bit by bit getting chunked out.
They have to go.
They gotta go, in they go. Ruler, he is gonna flash away as a big bomb comes out from Chovy, but I don't think it's enough. Zeus is gonna open it up, and out come the needles as they chip away at that front line. Life Esports looks like they have finally done it in a grindy game number 5. They will take the first ever LCK Cup victory.
They managed to do it again. They managed to take down GENG one more time. And we talk about GENG as this team who's reigned over the LCK for so long, who had their dynasty, and now HLE. They won Summer Finals. They've once again managed to claim title, managed to win the LCK Cup, and will represent the LCK at first stand.
Lifting the trophy here. Inaugural LCK Cup champions, and back-to-back wins here against old rivals in GENG. And Chovy, he was able to successfully bring himself to another consecutive finals, but it's a consecutive loss as well for him here against his former team. And once again, Delight triumphs against his. Zeus coming in as the big hot pickup at the very beginning of the year. He was the one everyone was talking about, and at the very end, that stays true.
And you remember the start of the LCK Cup, the first matchup we saw HLE with Zeus, GENG decimated them. And the growth they've shown in the tournament, they've incorporated this new player, and it's very clear that it has worked.
He's gonna show off his little signal there that he always does.
His
little
Z
sign.
bolt, his Z lightning bolt, and
Zeus.
you can change the jersey, you can change the team, but you can't change the fact that this is one of the greatest top laners to ever play on this stage.
Absolutely.
And the guy is getting it done. Both of our 4-letter Z's and our solo lanes here for Hanwha Life were super impactful in this one.
The Game 5 streak continues.
Game 5 streak continues.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep doing it. They won Game 1, they won Game 5. Life Esports with the side selection. They earned that right, and they were able to take it down in the end. Unfortunately, today, you know, Jonah Strong was the talk of yesterday. He was incorrect, but we knew a lot of people, most people went for the 3-2, and it was going to go one way or the other. Ends up going the way of HLE Esports. That last game, man, only 9 kills, I think it was, in a total of almost 40 minutes.
It's definitely the type of game where if you're a Hanwha fan, you know, you release your fists that were like clenching onto your armrests that entire 40-minute game, because it felt like at any moment, any mistake, GENG could have just gotten those ruler resets and popped off. In this one, Zeus, very few damages dealt to champions in this one, but damage to turrets, damage to minions and sides.
Pressure.
He was the one who gave them so much map control, constantly pulled GENG around the map. A fantastic Gwen game from pretty rare pick, just like the Anivia he's pulled out, just like the Olaf he pulled out twice in these playoffs. And at the beginning of the season, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if he was going to gel with this roster. Didn't look great at the beginning, but by the time we got to the very end, the most important part, man, he looks like he's been here the whole time.
And I feel like that's the thing, is that going into this game, we had this sort of mix-up where GENG were like, we're investing in Ruler. We've seen teams be successful with that before. 2023 GENG, one of the greatest runs the team's ever made, investing in a Ruler as a carry. And HLE said, well, you know, we have this Viper who's a great carry, but we have Zeus too. They split the investment, and it paid off. It worked so well, and I think that was such a great game to finish on, a show why they brought Zeus in. They won Summer, and yet they still thought they should make a change, and it's moments like this that really make you realize why.
It was just a recipe for success, as you guys are all talking about. You know, they have some of the best players, they have some of the best leadership here on this roster, and there's a reason why they can win when it comes down to the wire, when it comes down to a Game 5 and a game that's so tense, even for us watching, but for players as well to actually play it out correctly and get the win. Really tough stuff, but they do it again on a really big stage, and they're the first LCK Cup champions. They will be moving on to represent the LCK at First Stand. I'm very excited to see what they can do there, because as you guys have said, you know, the growth over this LCK Cup has been massive, and to play more fearless as well, they should be the favorites of the tournament just based on what we've seen. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Zeka, also a player who just a few years ago, we were like, this guy can only play melee carry champs. He can play the Akali, he can play the Sylas, he can play the Yone. He was patched in to DRX's win. Then he grew. He was playing the Azir. He's finding some other control mage success. Now he's playing picks like the Galio, getting pentakills. He's playing a lot more utility. To play through that, what you just mentioned, both either being able to play through Zeus or being able to play through Viper, this team looks like it's got a super team mentality in terms of how it was put together, but also feels like it's got no egos. It can play through so many different sides. It's so well-rounded. The drafting as well improving as the year has gone on. And I can't wait to watch this team at First Stand.
And also for, you know, a team who has a mid laner, as you said, there were concerns about his champion pool in the past, to have a support who's so good at engaging at one particular style. Peanut, who has had like a limited pool sometime of champions he's excelled on, to win a tournament with Fearless, I think is another element to it. You know, first tournament we've had for these players with Fearless, it's gone deep every single time. So many 5-gamers for this lineup, and they've clutched it time and time again, and it's difficult. They've had to show so much depth when it's come to these games, and the style they've played, and the champions they've pulled out, and the scenarios they've been put in, and yet every single time consecutively, they've come out on top. It's been such a battle for them to get to this point. It's so clear how much they deserve this. Absolutely.
Well, it's been an awesome LCK Cup. We do have an interview on stage in just a moment with Ji-sun for the translation with the winning team, HLE Esports.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-sun for the post-match interview translation, and please welcome the LCK Cup 2025 champion HLE Esports. The inaugural champion of the LCK Cup goes to HLE Esports. Please give them a warm round of applause. First up, on the top lane, Zeus. Throughout the playoffs, HLE played 20 games total, and you are the first one to become the LCK Cup champion. How do you feel? LCK Cup was the first tournament after I moved the team, so I thought it was gonna be a little more difficult, but you know, things went really well until the end, and I was not expecting, you know, winning it all from the get-go, but here we are winning the trophy, so I am very, very glad and happy. Another 3-2 victory. How are your feelings on your way to Low Park?
힘들더라고요, 나는. 그래서 좀 최대한 기량 유지하는 데
Well,
힘썼던 것 같아요.
I just wanted to focus on keeping our good kind of form and momentum, and I had some good sleep, and I think that's a plus. Your performance on all the picks that you played today were awesome, but I want to talk about your Aatrox because it was matched up against Vayne, a pocket pick. How did you manage to deal with it? I mean, as if Vayne can kind of attack on Aatrox 1v1, yeah, it's a frustrating matchup, but our comp as a whole was a really good kind of counter into Vayne, so it was not that difficult. With this victory, you also qualified for the first stand, a new international tournament. What is your resolution and mindset? You know, I want to keep this momentum going, and I wish we can win the first stand as well. Moving on to Peanut. Another win up against GENG at the finals. Last time it was the summer finals, and today here at LCK Cup. What did you focus on the most dealing with GENG? Mostly their top side and also the swap strategy, early jungle pathing. So I really focused on the early macro plays and map kind of control. And Peanut. Another thing to celebrate is that your 10th year debut anniversary is just around the corner. How would you like to look back at your entire career?
제가 프로게이머 시작할 때는
Well, when I first started,
10년 넘게
I was not
할지도 몰랐고
expecting myself to hit this 10-year mark, and I couldn't imagine myself being loved for such a long time from the fans. I am very grateful for what I have right now. I want to say thank you to every teammate that I played together with.
남은 시간들 더 잘 사용해서
I hope I can also continue to show the best out of me with the remainder of time that I have as a professional player. And also your parents were in the audience supporting you as well. They were very supportive with the baby Peanut fan sign. Anything you want to say to your parents? Thank you so much for your support throughout my professional career, and I will always do my best until the very end. Lastly, anything you want to say about the first stand?
캐스파컵이래 죄송합니다. 네, LCK컵을 진짜 재밌게 즐기면서
I had so much fun throughout the LCK Cup. Together as a team. All 5 players were having a great time together. I hope we can keep this good atmosphere going throughout the first stand, and then the good result will follow.
이어서 제카 선수 만나보겠습니다. 제카 선수 LCK컵
Zeka, the inaugural LCK Cup champion. How does it feel to be the first team to make it happen? Well, 20 games throughout the playoffs. You know, we were able to level up so much with the amount of games that we played. And with that experience, you were able to gain a new nickname, the Game 5 Devil. Now you are on a 9-match win streak when it comes to a 5-game best-of-5 series. How do you do this? I mean, somehow I am on a 9-match win streak. So it also adds a little pressure that I should not drop any best-of-5 game number 5 in the future as well. I guess I gotta keep up the good work. So you are on a 13-match win streak when it comes to best-of-5 game number 1 and 9-match win streak for game 5. And also you have 100% win rate when it comes to the finals. What kind of finals can we expect you to perform in the future? Another Worlds finals? Well, right next up is the first stand finals, so we will do our best to make it all the way to the finals in the upcoming global event. then anything you want to say to your family out there? They actually made their way to Low Park after a while, so I'm very glad that they were able to watch me win the LCK Cup. Now you have about 2 weeks to prepare for the first stand. How are you gonna prepare for the newly introduced tournament? Well, it's gonna happen at Low Park, so I hope we can get the home ground buff and make the best result happen. Viper, congratulations on winning the LCK Cup. How do you feel? With the new Fearless draft format, we had so much fun together, and I'm also very happy that we not only had great experience but also had a good result. Speaking of Fearless drafting, it was a new kind of format for the Champ Select, new format for the tournament as a whole. So how did you experience the new LCK Cup? So I think we were able to play a lot of different champions, and we were able to work together as a team to kind of bring out the best strategy and drafting possible. So I'm very proud that us and our coaching staff were able to make it happen. Yesterday, your former teammate Tarzan and Flangdra, they on a post-match interview, they mentioned you actually. They said, "We're not going to scream today. We're gonna just support Viper all the way." Any message over to them? Hope you guys also win the LPL, and hope we can have a reunion over at the first stand. Last message to the fans out there. Starting from the group battle up until the finals, you guys are so supportive. So I really, really appreciate it, and I cannot thank you even more because the support and love from the fans is unpaired and unmatched. Now moving on to Delight, how do you feel winning the LCK Cup? I am very, very proud of what we pulled off together as a team. Alistar, Rao, your team fight champions were so on point. Was that the plan for today? I'm gonna be the one going in for proactive plays. I mean, not really, but for many matches, I have been making jokes like, I'm gonna carry you guys, but today I for sure got carried, so I appreciate that. And then game 5, we were going for a full scaling comp on the both sides, so it was a very long game and a very high tension until the very end. How did you keep your concentration? I mean, even from the start, the macro decision from our team was so on point. We were able to get a head start, and we were winning all the trades, so we were pretty confident going into the late game. And I hope we can continue this momentum up until the first stand and get another great result together one more time. Now let's hear from the coaching staff. First up, Dendi, the head coach. Back-to-back title for Hana Life Esports. Last year LCK Summer and this year's LCK Cup. How do you feel? We started from the playing stage here at the LCK Cup, so all the players are working so hard. I'm pretty sure they're very tired and exhausted at this point, but they never gave up. They were always giving their all, so I really appreciate all the hard work from my players. Who would you like to give an MVP? I cannot choose one. They were all displaying an incredible performance. So I want to say thank you to all 5 players. Great job, everyone. Lastly, what is your resolution for the new international tournament first stand? We were able to set new good records by winning a lot of domestic tournaments so far. Now that we are heading on to an international tournament, I hope we can continue making history and records. And Mockley, the draft, the mind game was so important today. What was the main focus? Early on, well, we focused on the meta picks, but as we headed on to the later phase of the best of 5 series, game 4 and 5, because it's a fearless format, you have to find what the best picks are for your team. And we were able to, get a lot of ideas and opinions from the players, and we were able to kind of bring that into our actual chimp select. So I really appreciate all the teamwork. Any message over to your players? With Zeus joining us, he was the new member on the lineup. Early on in the tournament, we were struggling a little bit when it comes to the teamwork, and also Zeus is the youngest player on our team, but he got along with the players so fast. He was a very nice and friendly kind of new player joining the team, so we were able to build a strong bonding within the player. So thank you, Zeus, for being giving your best throughout the not only in game but also outside of the game, but also the rest of our players were very nice to Zeus as well. So we were able to have a great synergy together. Lastly, Coach Shine, were you expecting a 5-game series? Yeah, actually, because our game number 1 win rate is pretty good, and we are also pretty good at game number 5. So as long as we can get 1 or 2 more wins in between, we would go to a 5-gamer. I think we are having this kind of a long streak, because all of the players, they always remain focused until the very end, and also they know how to pull up clutch plays. Now, what is your main focus when it comes to the first stand preparation? We mainly focused on the LCK teams, how they play for the LCK Cup. So now we have to go back to the drawing board and start analyzing the teams from other regions. And one more time, please give it up for Hana Life Esports, the 2025 LCK Cup champions. And shortly after, we will be having a award ceremony and the MVP reveal. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ji-sun, for that awesome translation of the winning team's interview here at the LCK Cup. As we're getting ready for the award ceremony with, of course, Jun there on stage. And we will be having the trophy ceremony as well for our inaugural winners here at the LCK Cup. The first time ever in history.
That's right. And of course we have Aiden Lee, the LCK Secretary General, and Jae-Gesung, sorry, excuse me, from Woori Bank. Sorry for botching that in front of everyone on live television.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah, I could have just waited. He could have introduced himself.
And let's see what he has to say here.
우리은행이 함께할 수 있는 영광을 주셔서 감사합니다. 소환사의 협곡을 뜨겁게 달군 선수들의 열정, 그리고 이 자리를 빛내주신 팬 여러분들의 응원에도 진심으로 감사드립니다. 이후 정규 시즌에서도 LCK의 뜨거운 열정을 우리은행이 끝까지 함께하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네.
Thank you so much for that, General Manager Jae-Gesung. And awesome to have Woori Bank, as always, as our sponsor here at the LCK. And we are going to move on to the MVP award as well.
That's right. Hanwha Life, the 2025 LCK Cup champions, qualified directly to first stand as the first and only seed of the LCK.
Big responsibility, but they have absolutely earned it.
These guys are quite good as they have qualified, as we have stated here, first stand tournament for 2025. And they will receive the championship here. They don't actually get any money, but they have the opportunity to win it at first stands. They do get, of course, the minimum prize money over there as well, just for being a part of it. So that's essentially what you do win. And of course, we will have the MVP award, which comes with a small cash prize as well. I think we have a certain player on our minds for that MVP award at this point.
I certainly do, but I'm not sure if it's the same as everyone else's.
Guess we'll see. Always interesting to find out.
Already starting the argument before the Wayshik this time, I see. It's an LCK Global tradition to argue about who should have gotten Finals MVP at the after party.
We go pretty deep on those, that's for sure.
But we don't bring it up years later after the fact.
All right, let's find out who it's going to be this time around. 2 million won on the line.
2 million won. About $1,500 US dollars. A hefty chunk of change for an individual. Not bad for winning the MVP. All right, who is going to get it for the first ever LCK Cup here in 2025?
The final MVP는 애매하죠. 바로 공개합니다. 파이널 MVP. 글로 가시면 안 됩니다. 글로 가시면 안 됩니다. 화면이 글로 가시면 안 됩니다. 파이널 MVP는 제우스입니다.
It's Zeus.
Well deserved.
As we expected.
Yeah, I think very well deserved. I think his Aatrox game so dominant despite the counter pick. And the new addition to this roster who has fit in, took the LCK Cup for it to come together, but he has shown he definitely belongs on this lineup.
Phenomenal Gwen game in the end as well. Was weirdly enough with all the scaling, the main character in that one.
So we will have a short MVP interview, a couple of questions with Zeus. And thank you so much, first off, to Aiden Lee and Jae-Gesung for introducing the awards here and just being part and making the LCK possible. So as they come off here, we will be hearing from Zeus right now. So I'm going to hand it over to Ji-sun for the translation.
Congratulations. How do you feel? Whoa, I didn't imagine myself, you know, having such a huge success. This LCK Cup, you know, I was having a mindset of a challenger, but somehow I accomplished so many great things. So I am very grateful, and I have to keep, you know, proving in the upcoming tournaments and, you know, so on. You played so many, you know, important picks today. What stands out the most? I think it was the Aatrox game that bought me this MVP, so I would say Aatrox. Now, LCK Cup trophy is in your hands. What about first stand? Anything you want to say about the first stand? Now that we're here, we're going to win it all. Win everything. Thank you. Okay, you got the word from Zeus. It's going to win it all. The first stand, and also anything that comes up in the future. One more time, please give it up for Zeus, the MVP of the LCK Cup Finals. Thank you.
여러분 오늘 시상식의 마지막 LCK 컵 트로피.
Thank you so much, C-Sun, as always, for that wonderful translation. Great to hear from Zanes, who says, well, I think the Aatrox earned it for me. Probably a big part of it. That was a big game in this series to win right in the middle. And, of course, going on as the favorites at first stand, he says they're going to win it all.
This is potentially the beginning of a Hanwha Life esports dynasty. We've had so many of them in the LCK. I think obviously the fact that T1 won Worlds puts a little bit of a wrench in it right now. But moving forward, if they can win first stand, maybe win back-to-back-to-back LCKs here, and maybe even take an MSI trophy along the way, I think we can call it a dynasty. We're not there yet, but winning 2 titles back-to-back here domestically is definitely a start.
I think also showing that the move worked. You know, they won in summer and they said, but we want Zeus. They got Zeus and he gets MVP for them in the finals. They win the cup again. The move worked, and HLE very happy with the outcome.
They just have so many clutch players when it comes down to it. As not only do they have the t-shirts, they have the banner as well. It is your LCK Cup champions here for 2025. Hanwha Life Esports.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. What a great way to start off the year. Our first Fearless year on the LCK stage at Lol Park. Really cool tournament. I really enjoyed seeing Nongshim make top 4. I really enjoyed seeing how close all the teams are right now. I feel like we're in for a good 2025.
Yeah. A lot of people show up, a lot of people show potential. Still some that you can tell there needs to be some work, but it's still early in the year. And looking forward to a full great year of LCK ahead of us.
Yeah. That will be starting in April. Don't want to miss that. We also have first stand in March. And, you know, I'm looking forward to more Fearless. I think this has been a very nice addition to a game that has been around for a very long time to continue the tradition of League of Legends. So we'll see how what the future holds in store for us. But for us here at the LCK, we will be signing off now. Thank you so much for watching the LCK Cup 2025, and we will see you in March for first stand. Have a fantastic day.